From technical setbacks to groundbreaking solution, Selling the Storm brings you the real scoop of how professionals in the solar industry handle challenging projects. Let's dive in. Hi, I am your host Ramak Chatterjee and you are watching Selling the Storm on ENF TradeTV. Hi James, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Hi, my name is James Fisher from a company called Blue Sun Energy Solutions. We are a small EPC here based in Cape Town. We work with a company called Free Power that does many of our installations and provides our engineering and procurement. We work nationally and also do some work in neighboring countries such as Zimbabwe and Zambia and Namibia. We've been in the industry for over 15 years and specialize in solar hybrid systems built for purpose for industrial and commercial application. We use best of breed equipment and we focus on performance as our key criteria for optimizing and providing value add to our customers.
That's great to know. But in a world increasingly filling with solar service company, how does your company stand out?
I think we stand out with our experience. Obviously margins are tight, so business is difficult, but there's a lot of players in the game. But we've been through a lot of different equipment for more than 10, 15 years. How the portals and the monitoring and management systems really provide a value add from extending the service from our side. We have master electricians and we have engineers. We do proper testing on the equipment and on the metering to establish the parameters and verify that the equipment is right fit for purpose.
Coming straight to the point, what has been one of the most challenging large-scale or commercial installation project that you have faced as an installer?
There were some that were quite frustrating. One of them was drawn out for a very long period of time because there were different school governing bodies and different decisions and different parties, and I mean, it was even being managed by an engineer, but an independent engineer. So the long protractions were very painful. But we had another site where it was a 15-meter high industrial roof for a company in Paro, here in Cape Town. And so we planned the site, and they said, you just have to get a cherry picker, to take the panels up to the roof. And we said, fine, we'll arrange it. So we got to the site and we went to the manager and we said we're going to go up, and he said, I'm sorry, the cherry picker is too close to the door. You have to get a bigger cherry picker which can stand 3 or 4 meters away from the door, and then you can come to our site. So it ended up, it really cuts into our profits. We had to get a massive cherry picker that wasn't at the entrance. It delayed the project for 5 days because we had to wait for that cherry picker.
Like that was a totally unplanned thing.
There were weather issues in terms of rain. And by the time we got it in and then we installed it, I mean, it just took so many phone calls and additional costs, which the client, we provided the client with information, we'd requested it, we give them everything timelessly, they ignored the information, and somebody put their hand up in the back and said, listen, this is how it's going to be, I'm not negotiable. And we just went, oh great, you've just taken a very nice project, a relationship, and thrown it to the dogs.
What do you think is the root cause of this problem? Is it the lack of knowledge, the amount of bureaucracy involved, or the sheer highly technical nature of these projects which the clients do not understand? What, according to your view, is driving the core issues?
Yeah, look, I think it was actually, a lot of projects are very interesting. It has a lot to do with the attitude of the client or their manager. So this particular guy that was the landlord was very sticking by the rules, and he was actually quite aggressive when I came to site. He was saying, I need this and this done, and we'll give you a deposit, but then you've got to hold the price for 4 months. They were being very aggressive to try and maximize the return. We were given we were provided the project through an engineering company. But when we got to the site, the guy knew nothing about solar. He hadn't experienced any type of installation. He knew nothing about what the requirements or the timelines are, and really what the equipment did. I mean, and the fact that, and then later on, about a year later, they refused to get into an SLA with us to service the site. The site didn't have proper ladders going up the side of the building, so we had to wait for them to install that, which is problematic to cleaning the panels. I mean, literally, and this is no joke, 3 years after the installation was the first time we got up on the roof to clean the panels. Within the next day, we generated 25% more production. On the next day after cleaning it. This is a painful industry, and that particular client, as I said, I mean, just to get the cleaning, to get the permission from their internal. A lot of it has to do with, I studied management. It's about vertical integration. A company has a vertical structure, and as soon as you touch the bottom, you have to go to the top of the bookshelf, and then you've got to wait for that signal to come right down to the bottom. And it was, as I said, I mean, it's the joke was that you bought a system to save you money, and yet you wasted everybody's time and money, and you lose money yourself because you want anybody clean it and process the system. Yeah, so the bureaucracy and indecision, it creates a problem. And quite frankly, I regret doing the installation.
In challenging situations like this, how do you keep your team motivated, given the project of this scale would have involvement of many people?
Yeah, it's hard, eh? I mean, the engineer was scratching his head. I think, I think the idea is you just got to keep your focus on the key points. Once the client makes it unpleasant, and once the client makes it, starts taking out the flow of the project because of these things. And I hear these are structural issues, they're individual issues, they're not common business practice. You basically just say, I've got to look after my own business interests. So you start turning away from value for the client, because the client's asking so much of you that it is actually damaging your business. You just prioritize. So you won't get the best of our service. You take you take my time, you take my engineering, you take my planning, you take my procurement, my structure, my installation, my service quality, my warranties, all the stuff, and you behave as if you're buying a Coke. This is a specialist skill set. We have years of experience, and we underwrite it, what we have to provide for you. And at the time, and even to this day, your priorities are your business, and we wish to support your business at the end of the day, but not at our own detriment.
With hindsight, are there projects or decisions that you would approach differently to achieve a better or alternative outcome?
Yeah, look, I think the renewable space is often driven by, and I'm sorry to use this word, but it's often a desire to see a solution, a desire to be successful in a project, and a desire to please the client. Sometimes that is not a good business solution for your company. One often has to step back and really maybe analyze what time and what effort you prepare to put into the project or into the client. Remember, the client doesn't see you the same as you see the client. We often are solutions based. So we're looking at how to provide the best solution, but the client is looking at money. For us, we need to track our time. We need to track our relationship with the client. And I think that being clear on KPIs in terms of this is what the system will do, this is what we will do, and this is what the warranties will do. When the client tries to extract more value than his due out of the system, it's not good for us. And look, you get difficult clients. You learn to manage it.
As you see it, this is a considerable problem. How do you suggest installers approach and handle this situation?
Well, it's hard because you want the business. So what you have to do is give them terms and set an expectation that the client does that task. Otherwise, we can't proceed with the client. I can't proceed with the project on time. These are all time burners. They're project. They mean that we can't meet the milestones on time. Look at in Cape Town, we have a unique experience as well with the weather. In winter, basically for 2 months, you're not sure what the weather's going to be. So you're not sure if you can install this month, this week, or the following week. You've got the equipment, So, project management is always something you need to be on your toes about. When you have clients that deceive you and that do not provide, are not willing to do their side of the business.
Continuing on that thought, but shifting the perspective a bit, how do you see software and AI integrating into the day-to-day systems?
So all those type of systems that were running with independent parts now can centralize the parts, and they obviously are banking the data. So definitely, it's a very exciting prospect. IoT is tracked with an app. I mean, it's an app away. Everything in life is an app away. Look, at the end of the day, batteries. I mean, these systems are about money, and money drives sustainability. And sustainability, although has ESG and green credentials, it is something which needs a strong financial backing. And providing the systems give the returns, and they obviously do. Otherwise, these finance companies wouldn't be backing this technology.
Okay, what would be one myth about the solar installation industry in South Africa which you would like to bust on this show?
The myth? Well, I'd probably say that maybe off the top of my head, I'd say that sunlight is cheap. And it's a great resource in Africa that you can use. But yes, it is. But if you don't install correctly, if you don't do the right electrical structures, if you don't use the right equipment, you're not experienced, it's not worth anything. So if you do it right and you spend the money, you have an amazing resource that you can integrate into your business and save you money, or into your home, and you're able to harness that power. But if you decide to go on the cheap, or you decide to go your own way without experience and knowledge, it's not a resource. It can be a liability. So one has to be careful.
Thank you, James. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. The insights that you shared were incredibly valuable, and I'm sure our viewers would find it immensely helpful.
Thank you very much for the interviews.
This is your host, Trambak Chatterjee, and that's a wrap for today's episode of Sailing the Storm. For more insightful videos, stay tuned to ENF TradeTV, your trusted source for all things solar.